Folks, these 3 tunes will teach you more about how to learn fingerstyle guitar than anything I could think to show you. Which is why I'm showing you. And it's a bold claim. It's a bold claim. I know, but let me show you why. So whether you've been at this for a while, or you're just getting started, or maybe this is the video that's going to start you off on fingerstyle guitar for the very first time, that would be cool. But I don't know. What I do know is that fingerstyle guitar is more than just moving your fingers around on the guitar. There's more to it than that. But what are the basic mechanics, or as I like to call it, agreements? What are the agreements you're coming to terms with when you learn fingerstyle guitar? Agreement number 1, the thumb. The thumb creates bass lines. It moves from string to string. Sometimes it just stays on one string, but that's kind of its job, is it creates bass lines. Agreement number 2, your fingers. Your fingers create melodies that move with or against the thumb. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get to use 3. We don't typically use anything more than that, although, crazier things have happened. Those are kind of the basic agreements, leaving enough room for magic and discovery along the way. And these 3 tunes will teach you that and more. Wow, that took forever. That took forever to say. By the way, my name is Kyle Orla. I post a video here every week on YouTube to about 30,000 people now. That's ridiculous. I also have a Patreon that I post a few times a week to a community of about 1,000. Some people are paying, some people aren't. Those are the places I hang out. So if you're new here, let's become fast friends. Let's get right to it. Let's check out Spike Driver's Blues. So Spike Driver's Blues in its simplest form. I did make a transcription video of Mississippi John Hurt's Spike Driver's Blues a few years ago, and there was some argument in the comments whether it was a 1-chord song or not. To me, it's 1 chord with some moving parts, but the tonality, the world of G, the spectrum of G, it never changes, right? So to me, it's kind of a 1-chord song. So basically, you've got this G chord. Now, this is the G chord you're going to want to use. This G chord is great for bluegrass, for folk stuff, but for this fingerstyle blues thing, this G chord is your friend, and here's why. You've got a G chord moving to a G7 chord. Now, again, does that make it more than a 1-chord song? Sure. But to me, that's just kind of a riff above, right? Because remember the agreements we have. We have a moving thumb to create bass lines, and we have some kind of melody stuff happening above. So in this case, I do kind of feel like we're just still playing a G chord, right? The other thing you got to check out is you've got this little blue third thing happening here. All of that is playing with or against your moving thumb. Now this one really gets people. Now, we put our finger here. Are we making a new chord or are we not? Is it a partial C chord? Is it a G6 chord? Or is it a part of that agreement we've already committed to when we learn fingerstyle guitar? Is it just a bass line, right? Because I hear that as a bass line. I don't hear that as a partial C chord. It would be the same thing if you asked your bass player when they played some kind of bass line, are you playing a partial C chord in your little bass riff there? No, they're just playing a bass line. So to me, that's kind of more of what we're getting at here. We have a bass line here and a little melody above. It's not much of a bass line, and it's not much of melody until you put the 2 things together, right? They're not getting in each other's way, they're supporting each other, and that is the beauty of Spike Driver's Blues. And in case you want to know, this simple Spike Driver's Blues is available over on the Patreon for free members. Check it out. So this next tune has some commonalities. We have a moving bass line. We also have a cool little melody riff above, but there is one big difference, and it's, now we have chords. These are chords. So this tune is called Creole Bell, and here are the basic chords. You have an F chord, and I'm hanging my thumb over. If you're brand new to fingerstyle guitar, that might be new. That might seem crazy. Just know it's definitely a part of the thing in the fingerstyle world. And it might seem impossible, and depending on how wide your neck is or how big your hands are, those are some variables you got to check in with. But more than anything, it's about mobility and flexibility. So as you become more flexible over time, this reach is totally possible. I think no matter how large your hands are. It's more like, you know, how arthritic are your hands really in the end. And the other chord is a C chord, and the other chord is a G chord. So those are the basic 3 chords to most of the tunes in C until you get into the ragtime thing, which we have talked a lot about in this channel as well. Here's the interesting thing about this tune. It's in the key of C, but it starts on F. What's going on there? So this is interesting. Creole Bell is really the B part of a tune called Creole Bells, or Belle of the Creoles. There were a bunch of cakewalks with names like this. There's like Belle of Richmond, Belle of the Cakewalk. So it's interesting for historical reasons, but it also explains a few things. We're in the key of C, but we're starting on an F chord. Why? Well, a lot of rags, marches, cakewalks, really a lot of genres, you know, the second part of the tune, we move to a chord that's not the 1 chord to kind of, you know, sometimes it's to change key or even just to stay in the same key you're already in, but just to create motion, right? Move to the 4 chord or the 5 chord. In this case, in the case of Belle of the Creoles, they move to the 4 chord. I think they actually do change key. But either way, when John Hurt made his arrangement called Creole Bell, he just took the part he liked, right? Took that middle part he liked and just made a tune out of it. Hence, his first chord would be the 4 chord. Now, this is a very simple version of Creole Bell, and it's a really great thing to learn about pinching, right? So if you check out this basic tab, we've got something like this. So the first couple things here, we kind of, the song starts on an F, but we're doing a pickup, right? So we're leading in to the start of the song. Right, so our pinches are all in the middle. And then we just kind of float our thumb through that F chord. Same little motif. This particular version that we're pulling from, John Hurt uses the same motif between the F chord and the C chord. And then check this out, the G chord leading into the G chord, we do that same little bluesy thing we did in Spike Drivers, right? And we play a G chord, right? A G to a G7 chord, just like we did in Spike Drivers Blues. So it's a great tune to add from Spike Drivers Blues because there's enough similarities, but there's enough new stuff as well. You can keep working on that moving thumb, and you can also add the application of the left hand fretting thumb, right? Both are foundational for the fingerstyle guitar idiom. And yeah, I think they're kind of both in that agreements between the marriage of the hands. I love tunes that start on the 4 chord. Ugh, it just never gets old. Not all tunes that start on the 4 chord are just B parts to forgotten cakewalks, right? Of course not. Because sometimes they're B parts to forgotten rags. And that is the case with this last tune, Lay Me Down a Pallet on the Floor. History of one of the most popular tunes in America, Lay Me Down a Pallet on Your Floor. It was originally the B part to a rag called Southern Rag Medley, written in 1908 by a composer named Blind Boone. Then in 1923, America's most talented melody thief, W.C. Handy, he renamed it Atlanta Blues as just the B part. And then in 1928, Mississippi John Hurt recorded under a new name, Ain't No Tellin', and then his rediscovery, he renamed it Lay Me Down a Pallet on Your Floor, and that's about all I know about that. So like Creole Bell, we're in the key of C, but we start on the F chord, right? Something like this. And then we just do that same thing again. But we move to an E chord now. So this song has a few more parts, right? And we're gonna actually take that E chord back into the F chord. Two of the most beautiful chord pairs I think known to humanity, right? So sound like this. I just love that. One interesting thing about John Hurt's version here, he kind of adds these crunchy things that seem kind of wrong when you're going as slow as you got to go to learn this tune, but feels so right when you speed it up. So for example, that last measure, it's really weird, right? I wouldn't even know what to call that other than cool, right? Another example is when you're leaving the F chord, going back to the C chord, he leads in to the C from the fret below and pinches that with the first fret on the B string, which doesn't sound nice. Doesn't sound nice to me at all. But to me, when you speed things up, it has enough motion that it sounds great. If you wanted to doctor this thing up, you could always lift that finger up and create some kind of octave motion. It would sound less nasty that way, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It's up to you to decide how much you want to doctor things to make it sound right to you. Of course, keep in mind, the more you do that kind of thing, intentionally or not, the further you're getting from the thing that made you attracted to the song to begin with, right? Up to you to decide whether that's a good or a bad thing. Speaking of good or bad, I have 3 more great fingerstyle tunes to check out. If you're looking to make the jump, you can check that video out next. You can also go to the Patreon. I'll have a slow play along of Spike Driver's Blues available for the paid members, and it's gonna be a party, so we'll see you there.